Jho Low wanted to channel some of the money into a legitimate business venture. Fascinated by the Hollywood lifestyle, he decided to break into the film industry. He helped fund a production company called Red Granite Pictures, but, as with 1MDB, he avoided taking an official title to keep his involvement off the books. Instead, he remained the shadowy financier behind the scenes. Around this time, he learned that Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese wanted to make The Wolf of Wall Street but struggled to secure the $100 million budget from major Hollywood studios. Studios deemed the project too risky due to its R-rated nature and potentially limited audience. Seizing the opportunity, Jho Low's production company stepped in to finance the film, granting DiCaprio and Scorsese full creative control. As a result, Jho Low's name appeared in the film's credits, further cementing his place in Hollywood. When DiCaprio won a Golden Globe for his role, he even gave Jho Low a shout-out in his acceptance speech. Chapter 4. Goldman Sachs scheme. Leisner was head of Goldman Sachs' Asia division, and Jho Low had been courting him. He arranged for a private jet to pick him up and took him to meet one of the richest sheiks in the world. After an extravagant trip, Jho Low explained his intentions. He wanted Goldman Sachs to help 1MDB raise more money through bond sales. Jho Low knew that to make the operation look legitimate, he needed the credibility of a big Wall Street bank like Goldman Sachs. A deal was made where Goldman Sachs would issue a bond and sell it to investors. Investors were told their money would be used to fund power plants, but 1MDB had no credit rating, making it difficult to convince people to invest. To make the deal more appealing, Goldman Sachs used its reputation and paired 1MDB with Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund, which had $70 billion in assets and a solid credit rating. With Abu Dhabi's involvement and Goldman Sachs backing, the package became attractive to investors. In 2012, 1MDB issued $3.5 billion in bonds through Goldman Sachs. However, as the official fund manager, Jho Low used the same offshore tactics he had employed before, diverting $1.4 billion of the money to a company registered in the British Virgin Islands and known to Tax Haven. In 2013, 1MDB issued another $3 billion in bonds through Goldman Sachs, and once again, Jho Low funneled a portion of the funds through offshore accounts. Instead of financing power plants as advertised, billions of dollars were siphoned into shell companies under Jho Low's control. Some of the money was used to pay off those who helped orchestrate the scheme, including Tim Leisner from Goldman Sachs, while the rest remained under Jho Low's control. With billions in offshore accounts, Jho Low's extravagant lifestyle continued in check, buying famous artworks, acquiring luxury properties, gambling, and throwing lavish parties.
A significant kickback was also sent to Prime Minister Najib Razak to ensure he didn't ask too many questions. Jho Low believed that the money raised from bond sales would also help cover 1MDB's growing financial losses. Goldman Sachs, in turn, received around $600 million in fees and revenue, reportedly about 200 times the standard rate for a deal of this size. This suggested that they were aware something was suspicious, but choosing not to question it in exchange for a massive payout. Without Goldman Sachs' involvement, 1MDB would never have been able to raise such a significant amount of money. Jho Low had carefully constructed a system to siphon billions for himself. One of his strategies was setting up bank accounts under fake company names that closely resembled real firms. For instance, he created a shell company called BlackRock Commodities Global Limited, a name nearly identical to the global investment giant BlackRock. This deception made it appear as though funds were being transferred to legitimate businesses, reducing the likelihood of raising red flags. Another tactic he used was layering a moving funds between multiple offshore bank accounts to create a complex web of transactions, making it difficult to trace the original source of the money. These accounts were often registered in tax havens, further obscuring the paper trail. Jho Low also exploited U.S. legal loopholes by transferring money into trust accounts at American law firms, where client confidentiality rules meant the funds faced minimal scrutiny. Most crucially, he took advantage of the fact that transactions between governments attracted far less oversight than those involving private companies. Government funds were simply not as transparent, making it easier to move large sums without drawing attention. In total, approximately $4.5 billion was stolen from 1MDB. What was supposed to be a development fund for Malaysia became Jho Low's personal bank account. Jho Low had assured him that the fund would strengthen ties with the Middle East and bring investments to Malaysia. Najib likely never imagined that Jho Low would outright steal such a massive sum, giving Jho Low complete, unchecked control over a multi-billion-dollar fund was always a risky move. Back in Malaysia, people started asking questions: where was all the money? Why weren't the promised developments materializing? Chapter 5: The Crumbling Empire. Jho Low had the Prime Minister on his side, ensuring his safety. Of course, this allegiance came at a cost. Low was funneling stolen money into Najib Razak's political campaigns, financing extravagant events and charitable donations to boost Najib's public image. Meanwhile, 1MDB continued hemorrhaging funds, sinking billions into debt.
In 2015, a whistleblower leaked emails to the press, exposing critical details of Low's financial web and revealing the staggering scale of the fraud. As investigations intensified, the truth about the corruption became undeniable. Outraged, hundreds of thousands of Malaysians took to the streets, demanding Najib's resignation.